Hello everyone and welcome back to Makeover Monday Watch Me Viz for week 21, 2023. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Andy Kriebel. I'm the host of Watch Me Viz and I run this channel to help you become great at Tableau. I'm going to be expanding that into more other data analysis technologies as well, but hang tight for that. If you are new here, actually, let me rephrase that. So, I guess first off, oh, look at my background. Doesn't that look cool? That's pretty psychedelic there. There we go. So now I'm on the beach. One of the things I've done this past week was to start a newsletter, and I would encourage you to sign up. One of the things I'm doing, actually, you can sign up at, let me just hide a couple things here. There we go. You can, there we go. So you can sign up at andykriebel.com. You just go in here, just join the newsletter, and you'll get that every week. It's going to come out Friday mornings. And one of the things I'm doing for people that subscribe to that newsletter is I'm giving them early access to tips that I create. So this past week, what I've done was I wrote this is what the newsletter looks like. I promoted my 5-step framework. So this is a little ebook that I wrote for £5. And then I have a video for the dashboard. I showed you how to make an awesome dashboard in just 10 minutes. And this is only available to newsletter subscribers until I make it go live this week. So you get a few days ahead of time before other people can see it. And then some other information about here as well. And then lastly, also this Discord community. So there's, I think, about close to 85 of us or so on this Discord community now. So I started this to kind of give us a more, I guess, a cleaner place to have conversations about data, about Tableau, to get help from each other. You can kind of think of it as like Slack without quite the busyness and the craziness of not knowing where you are in Slack. I find myself going crazy using Slack. And then also Facebook groups, which are neatly organized into groups. So it kind of has the best of both things. It has forums as well as individual discussions. So if you do join that Discord community, you'll see it here. So we have things like general chats. And then if you have a question about Tableau, you could stick a question in there about Tableau. There's weekly Q&As. Different things like that. So lots of topical things that are more like forums, and then some general discussion. So I'd love to have you join that as well. And again, there's a link to that in the newsletter, and also on the, let me go back here. So on the website, if you scroll down a bit, you can see you can join the Discord community here as well. So look forward to seeing you on there. And if not, that's okay as well. But let's get to this week's data set. So the dashboard that we're looking at this week, or actually the data set we're looking at this week, is about product recalls from the FDA. Now, we used a data set like this, I think last year or the year before, but I believe it was just limited to food. Now, this particular data set is across lots of different categories. So like if you look here on the right-hand side, you can see you've got different product types: biologicals, devices, drugs, food and consumers, tobacco, and veterinary. There's more topics than that. This is just, it looks like the top 6. We then have data over time and lots of product classifications. So some things we're going to need to look up the definitions for. As far as kind of these dashboards themselves, I think this bar chart is fine. I would probably either keep the numbers and get rid of the legend the axis and the grid lines, or I would keep the axis and the grid lines and get rid of the labels on the bars. So one or the other there. Same thing on the right-hand side here, a bar chart, but I don't like how the names are on a diagonal, so I would rotate that bar chart and make it horizontal. I tend to do bar charts horizontally unless it's over time, because time goes left to right, so I would do a time series bar chart going left to right. But typically, if I'm just looking at kind of like a rank of things, I would do it more as a top to bottom bar chart or horizontal bar chart and sort these. So these are like screaming out to be sorted to me. And then in this section, so they have it nicely, this is kind of a combination of the top 2 charts as well, up the top. So you have the kind of time series going across, but then you have within each of the time series, you have the classifications. Now, The trouble with this particular design is it's very difficult to compare like the greens against each other. So if you're going to design it like this, the benefit of this is you can compare the different product classifications within a year, but it's very difficult to compare them across the years. Actually, let me turn this back on. Sorry about that. I've realized my image is turned off. There we go. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I've messed up something on my recording here. Oops. Bear with me for 1 second. Sorry. Where is it here? Filters, edit filters. That okay? That's fine. Okay, so I'm using a green screen, which looks good, except I now can't add an image in the background. So that's a bit annoying. Okay, no worries. So look like I'm just kind of floating here in the corner, which is sort of interesting. Anyway, so when you have the design like this, you're able to compare the different product classifications within a year, but it's very difficult to compare, for example, the green bars as you go across the view. So trying to compare the greens, you'd want to have those grouped together as well. So if I want to compare, for example, all the class 1s across time, I would have maybe a section for the green ones, and then a section for the yellow, and then a section for the blue. So those are some different ways that you could reorganize those particular charts. And then these are just other versions of the data as well. Okay, so the data itself, we have something called an FEI number. Actually, what I should probably do is go back to here, and I'm trying to think where, so that just goes to the bottom. Okay, so there's some information about, okay, so this is the firm name, right? Inspections. I'm trying to just, oh wow, look at that Viz. That's interesting. I'm trying to figure out where the data dictionary is. So just give me 1 second. I forget where the data dictionary is. Show more. Maybe that's it. That's caveats. Right. I'm trying to remember what some of this information means. Compliance. Let me just go here. Compliance dashboards. About the data. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I believe this is just like a unique identifier, if I remember right. No, it can't be, because you've got the same things here twice. But it looks like that's probably the same company, maybe. So those three numbers are all the same. Okay, so I need to kind of figure that out here. Let's see if it has it here. I probably should have done this ahead of time. Okay, to more about the database, click here. Okay, here we go. So it's an inspection may evaluate different project areas. The inspection classification database shows each project area in individual rows. When a single inspection evaluates multiple project areas, the database will, okay. So this is like the project number, the FEI. Okay, let me just search for FEI. No, okay. I was hoping that there might be some, okay, this is updated monthly. Who can I contact? Okay. Okay, the FEI number is a unique identifier assigned by the FDA to identify firms. Okay, so it's basically like a glossary. There's a glossary under resources. Okay, great. Thank you, Nicole. I don't know how I didn't see that. Let me go back here. Resources. Let me go back again. Where was the resources tab? Oh, glossary, there we go. No wonder why I missed it. Okay, so okay, this is great, thank you. FDA establishment is, okay. Unique identifier signed by the FDA to identify firms associated. Okay, so it's basically like a, like an ID for each individual company. And then we have multiple products. Okay, so that'll tell us like which companies were the worst. Okay, so the data itself. Let me go back here. Gosh, we're about 10 minutes in here and I haven't done anything yet. So we got the product type. That's pretty self-explanatory. The classifications. So let's see if they have classification. Here we go. So that must be, let's see, so classification. Okay, so this doesn't have product classification. Let's see. Here we go. Recall class. Dangerous or defective. Products that might cause a temporary health issue. Oh, nice. Unlikely to cause, but violate FDA. Okay, so it's basically like a severity number. Okay, great. And then this is the classification date. So this is this the date of the inspection? It looks like it probably is. Okay, so let's double check that. Inspection date. Inspection end date. We don't have inspection end date here, do we? So these must just be the center classification date. Those are the centers. I'm just going to expand all of these out so I have them later. Okay. All right, and it does not have a fiscal year in here either. Product ID, product description, reason for recall. Okay, so let's go ahead and, oh, I need to start Tableau. I forgot to do that. I think one of the things I'm going to look at, if I go back to the data itself, is I want to look at how many different reasons there are. Yeah, and then we've got some issues here with, oh wow, this is the product. Wow, these are really, really long. The center, but do we have the name? Okay, yeah, we do have the name of the company. Okay. Class 1 product was shipped to the following states. That's fine. Product tested positive for Listeria monocystogenes. I think that's what. Yeah, so it's like, oh, this is really dangerous stuff. This is like the pre-washed salad stuff, and it can contain like really horrible bacteria in it, and people get meningitis from it. Eva's mom, we think, got meningitis from unwashed. Supposed to be these prepackaged salads, but they were unwashed. So that's kind of the same thing. So scary stuff. Yeah, some of these are terrible. Misbranded leuko-reduced red blood cells were just, I have like no idea what some of this stuff even means. Okay, so we know the firm names and stuff. All right, so let me connect to the data set. Let's see. Of course, I picked the wrong folder. And if you're on here and you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. I am looking at the chat occasionally when I remember. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is rename the data source. And the FEI number, that looks like it's just an individual number, right? So that could probably be in here as a number. Come on, Tableau. Oh, let me close down Windows. Maybe they'll speed things up. Well, this is exciting given how long it's taking here. So how many rows are in this data set? 83,000 rows. That should take like no time to bring into Tableau. But it looks like Tableau has now decided to crash. Where is Tableau? There we go. Okay, finally. So the FEI number, I'm just going to make that a whole number. Is there anything else that I need to change? Let's just cancel that. It's not even letting me scroll. Here we go. Classification date, reason for recall. Okay, so let's just go to the sheet here. So recalling firm country, I'm just going to play around with some of the data. What the heck is going on here? So slow. Let me see. Let me extract the data. Question for last week's viz. Would you be open to sharing the Excel file with the ISO numbers and polygons? The ISO numbers and polygons. I think I did that, Max, in the... If you look in the description for last week's video, I'm pretty sure you'll see that in there. Let me just check for you. I believe you're talking about the tile map, Max. Let me see here. We're waiting for Tableau to load anyway, so might as well answer a question. Oh, there's the workbook. So it was I believe it was the one called World Tile Map. I'll just leave this open and I'll remember to come back. I'll add another resource in here. Thanks for calling that out, Max. Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay. All right. So we've got the country, and then we could maybe break it out to the states. So we only have the U.S. for the states, and then go down to the cities, and we have the city level. Okay. All right. And then we could maybe look at, so FEI number, Tableau brought that in as a measure because it read it as a number, but we want it to be a dimension. Those are discrete things. And I'm just going to bring on the sheet count onto size, and let's see where the states are distributed. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. Okay, so we see Warsaw, Indiana. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the firm and the number of recalls they've had. And then what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to insert my sheet. So sheet 2. And then I should be able to see. So Zimmer, Biomet, Zimmer Inc., Biomet Inc., Zimmer Inc. Okay, must be some kind of pharmaceutical company. Yeah, so these all look like pharmaceuticals. Okay, not Blood Center of Wisconsin. That sounds pretty terrible. Okay, so I'm just doing this as kind of a way to explore the data. All right, but let's go back here to our first sheet and let's do some analysis on when things have happened. So I'm just going to drag my classification date out, and let's look at the number of records. And I'm going to make it a bar chart because I like the bar chart they have in the original. So there's in 2012, if I go back up here, 2012, they have 3208 and then 8226. So the numbers are going to be slightly different because this is using the actual dates and not the fiscal years. So I don't know if they have the fiscal years. Let's see if they have the fiscal years defined somehow. Fiscal year. The fiscal year is the accounting period, which begins on October 1st and ends on October 30th or September 30th. Okay, so what I could do then is, okay, I'm going to actually duplicate this field, and I'm going to rename this as fiscal date. And what I should be able to do is change the fiscal year to start in October. So now if I bring that out, I've got the same numbers. Okay. So we're good to go. So 3208, 8226. Okay, so now my numbers match. And Tableau does a good job down here at the bottom of labeling it FY 2012, 2013, etc. So now the data looks the same, which I think is good. Okay, so this is really simple here. So this is just looking at when things have happened. Let's maybe look at it by quarter. Let me do automatic. Okay, so that doesn't really tell us anything. So we've got the years. Okay, so this is very simple. So I'm going to call this, let's see, recalls by FY for fiscal year. Let's maybe now look at, see if there's particular months that I'm just going to look at as a heat map this time. And so something happened here in December of 2014. 1000. So let's see here. Let's see, show fields. We want to show all. And I wonder if there is a particular company distribution pattern classified. This isn't going to be very helpful. Okay. Reisner. Okay, so let's try. So I'm going to actually, in the tooltip, I'm going to stick that my bar chart in there again. So what happened here? So Garden Fresh Foods is most of them. Okay, so something happened with Garden Fresh Foods in December of 2014. Okay, so that makes me think that I should look into that. So recalling firm name, Garden Fresh Salsa. Okay, and I want to look at, let's see. Yeah, we could just do that. That's fine. Yeah, so they've only been in here one time. And then the product classification, let's look at that. So class 3, that doesn't help. Product description. Okay, so tortilla chips, tortilla chips, tortilla chips. So something happened with tortilla chips. Okay, product reason for recall. Okay. Quality standards of ingredients used in the products were not met. Okay, well that doesn't tell us much, but it was a class. What was classified 3? So it's a very minor thing. So maybe something we should do then is event classification. Let's look at maybe if we just look at class 3. Right, so let me show this again, show filter. So we can look at the different classes of things. But see, that says class 1, event classification. Let's see. That doesn't make sense. This says event classification 3. And this says, okay, that's because the filter isn't getting applied to, okay, let me try it this way. So class, why does it still say class 1? Okay, I'm not sure why that isn't working. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, doesn't tell us, there's no real seasonality in this data anyway. Let's look at, but let's do it by just the regular date of when the inspection happened. Oops. Let's look at it this way. Meant to flip it the other way. Okay, so December 2013, something happened. Let's see, so let's do it this way. And let's put this here. Okay, so something happened here. Data. Let's see if there is a particular worldwide distribution. Oh, what's this here? Let's look at the record here. And what was the problem here? Certain lots of freestyle. Oh, nice. So blood glucose meters that are giving you erroneously low results. Well, that's pretty terrible. That's not good. Okay. Let's look at some other things here. So center. Let's see what center is. Let's go back here to our definitions. That must just be the oh, okay, so that's these. This is basically which center does the most or has reported the most product recalls. So CDHR, Center for Devices and Radiological Health. Okay, so we do have this little lookup here. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it into, let's see, data, paste. So now what I can do is I can, I should be able to do this. And now if I go back to this sheet, I should be able to bring on the center name here instead. Let me see, I need to clip that. There we go. So that's called blending. So let me just rename this. This is our, what do we want to call this here? This is our center names. How about just center info? Right, so now we can do it like that. And we have all of the center names now instead, which is easier to understand to me. Okay, and then product type. So that's just the different product types that they that those centers work with. All right, so we can get rid of that. I don't think we need that. And then, okay, so let me just go ahead and extract this so I don't have to do it later. So that's the product type. Do we have product type here? Okay, right, so these hopefully match up with this list. 1, 2, 3, so 6 rows there, 6 rows. Okay, good. So that's good. So let's look at the different product types. Very few of them are tobacco. All right, so I'm going to flip this around, and what if I make this just big numbers instead? Okay, so let's look at that. I'm just going to create some nice big numbers here. Okay, so that gives us our product types. Okay, so only 8 for tobacco, so those are descending. Okay, so this is our product type summary. And what I should be able to do is, okay, I'm going to try something now. So let me just, let's see, let's duplicate this sheet. And I want to put the product type here again, but I want to have it by, let me just start by fiscal year and count. Okay, so we should get something like this. And what I want to do is, let's see, so there's how many records here? 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Let's call this product label 2017. All right, so I'm going to say if the year of fiscal date is equal to 2017, then I want to get the maximum value in the view. Okay, so window max count of sheet 1. So that should give me this value here of 3609. Int. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if this is going to work now. All right, so let's just put this here, and let's make it a dual axis. Make it a circle. Okay, that's good. That's what I was hoping would work. And did I synchronize? There we go. Okay, so now on this product label, I want to put my total number of, okay, so what I want to do here is I want to put my count field onto the label. And if I go back here, so we should have 29,705. Right, all right, so what I'm going to do now, let me see, let me get rid of that. I'm going to make this a add table calc. I want to make it a running total pane across. So for each product type, we want to add them across the years, but I'm not getting the right number. Okay, so I need to change this table calc. So let me just drag this down here, and I'm going to rename this as total recalls. I'm just going to put TC in parentheses so I know it's a table calc. But instead of using running sum, I want to actually use the total function. Okay, there we go. So 2907. Okay, so that's good. So let's sort these by the field, descending. We want to count the, oh, it doesn't really matter which field we count because they're all going to be, okay. So this is 24. So now we need to adjust the height of this bar. So let's total recalls, let's multiply this by 1.1. I just want to shift it up. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. Undo. I want it to be this one here. Okay, so 1.1 times, and then let's just do that value. Okay, I'm just trying to give it a bit of space here. And then this label, I'm just going to make this text, and I'm going to make it nice and big. What I'm trying to do here is to put, just trying to create a single view that would have both these and the bars in the same view. That's kind of the idea. So I'm going to hide this header. Let me just get rid of the title. And let me hide that. Okay. And let's hide that. So this tells us, I wonder if I make this continuous, is it going to break it? And then if I make it a line chart, oops, wrong one. This one needs to be a line bar. Let's make this a line. Okay, so this is what, right. All right, so I think this is what I want. And let me just get rid of this. And then our tick marks. So our first year was 2012, I believe. And then if I go every 11 years, we get the start and the end. So that should be good to go there. Come on, go away. It's 2023. Okay, so that's, so we don't, I'm tempted to use, so they're doing fiscal years. So let me go back here to their fiscal year. Okay, fiscal year 2017 began in 2016, ended. Okay, so fiscal year 2023 is not complete. Okay, that's fine. And because we see here fiscal year 2012, so I'm going to, let's see. Actually, let's do it this way. And then if I put my fiscal year here, so fiscal year 2012 does not have complete data, and fiscal year 2023 does not have complete data. So I think for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to exclude those 2 years that we're only looking at completed years. But is that, Because the problem is this looks like a bit misleading because yeah, so let's call this ban plus sparkline. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my data source filters, my fiscal date, years. I want to get rid of these two. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a note in here at the top that only includes complete fiscal years. That way, at least I remember this when I put it into the dashboard. Okay, so this'll look nice and neat then when I put it in the dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and color this sheet. Let's make it red so we know it sticks out. And the reason I do that is because when I go into my sheet sorter, I can see quickly which ones I want to put on the dashboard. Okay, so that's that one. Let me make the line black as well. And now everything matches. Less than, okay, so let's hide that indicator. Okay, so I think we're good there. So that looks all right. So let me just move that over as well. We could then look at so we could, what if we just look at it by country? And let me reset the map. So pretty much everything is in America. Okay, let's try it this way then. Let's do country. So almost all of them are in America. Okay, let me just make this a percent of total. So 96% are in America. Okay, so I'm going to, okay, yeah, from firms in, well, because let's see, what I'm thinking of doing is should I filter out, should I only look at the US? I think for now for this map, I'm going to just only, oops, didn't want to do that. So let's just do keep only. Okay, and then if I break this down maybe to the city level, maybe make these a bit bigger. And now we could maybe color them a bit. Let's reduce the opacity. The problem now is there's so many firms on the East Coast that it makes it almost impossible to see. Okay. So again, this is where the hex map might come in useful, but then I'm doing hex maps for like the 10th week in a row. What do the state names look like? State, recalling state. How does it? Some of the states don't even exist. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this presents a problem then, because if we don't have, so let me look at just the United States, and then we look at the cities. We've got 2,799 marks. And then our map, we have 2,691 marks. So there's 108 unknown cities. Okay, so let's, if I go all the way to the bottom, let me go back here. Why aren't my, okay, I need to reset my tooltip, that's why. There we go, that's better. Okay. I mean, this shows kind of like the scale of the problem, but that's about all it shows. I think it looks kind of neat. Okay, so this is recalls by city, by firm city. And that's the recalls by firm. Okay, Okay, we don't need that one. That's just our heat maps. This was just some okay, so we could probably, do we need center name and product? So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put product type here, get rid of this product type. Right, and at least now I know which, so I'm going to put the center name onto the detail. So then I have it in my tooltip, okay. And then I need to get rid of the borders. And then let's sort that. Okay, so how many do we have for tobacco? 8. Oh, so this is the same. That's pretty dumb. So this is the same as our sparkline. So we don't really need this sheet then. Yes, that doesn't really help us. Okay, so that's looking at time, the countries, the far. Okay. So now let's look at maybe the reasons for recall. And let's look at this value. Okay, lack of assurance of sterility. Okay, can I rename this field? Nope. Mouse batteries are low. Okay. So maybe we filter this to the use all. Let's look at the top 10 by sheet 1 count. Okay, so this is our top recall reasons. And then let's put the firm names. Actually, yeah, we could do the same thing. And then if I do product type here, do they all pretty much? Okay, so some of them have multiple products. Okay, that's fine. What if I put product type on color? No, that's pretty terrible. Okay, so these are top 10 firms. Actually, this will be the worst 10 firms. And then I'm going to filter this again to the top 10. All right, so I like that. Now if I go back to the original, what they were trying to communicate with the original is nothing, because it's not showing the viz anymore. Isn't that annoying? Come on. Okay, let me refresh. Okay, so recalls by product type. So we're combining these two together, which is fine. Recalls by classification. Okay, so we could also do classification and then recall. So I would leave these as 1, 2, and 3, but I think we probably could maybe rename these. Let's see. So 1, dangerous or defective products. Glucose here is. Okay, we'll just leave it like that. Let's again make this black. This might look better as this. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to do this as a side-by-side chart. So these are recalls by severity. And then what else are they trying to communicate with their view? Okay, so that's all they're trying to do there. And then this is the same. This is the same as the devices here. Recall events. Okay, what's the difference between a recall event? Okay, we could look at the, do we have a status? So that's the center, classification date. So let's get rid of that. Distribution pattern, add all. Oh gosh. Event classification. Is that what I did here? It's product classification. Oh no, this should be event classification, not product classification. Product description. Did I do anything with that yet? This is event classification we did. Okay, so that's, so we did the top 10 reasons, the details we don't need, the firm name status. There we go. Let's rotate this one. Completed, ongoing, terminated. Okay, so we could probably sort that. Okay. I'm just going to call this number of. I'm just going to put the number 1 in here. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to replace this sheet 1 everywhere with my recalls field, and everything should end up the same. I'm doing that just so I get a better number here. So aggregation sum. Okay, so let's change this to a sum. Again, I'm doing this just so my axis has a better title. But when you put a calculation in with just the number 1, then it's basically assigning each row the number 1, and then so if I filter down to 10 rows, it should only show me 10 for the number of recalls. Okay, let's go back here, and we want this to be a sum, and then okay, so that's just the value. This would be the sum of recalls, and then the total recalls would be the sum of recalls. Okay. All right, so I think, so this should be a sum. I should have done this from the beginning, obviously. Okay, so my firms, okay, so I already did this one, so I'm gonna delete this one. Oh, it's in my tooltip, I think. No, where is it? Okay. I'm just trying to get rid of some of these duplicate sheets. Okay, so that's fine. These are all just experiments. Product type. So the product type summary I have here. I also have these two. Okay, so that's fine. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. Okay. And then this one should be recalls by status. All right. We can rename as higher, moderate, and low consequences that might be effective. Oh, true. Good point. So yeah, so this would be the severity. So we could, what's this field called? Event classification. So I'm going to add the aliases. And if I go back over here, so class 1, maybe I'll just call this serious. And class 2, temporary poses slight threat. Maybe we'll call this one. And then the products have likely no content. Okay, so we'll just call this one violation. Okay, yeah, so I think that's better. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Professor Analytics. Very good. Okay, so now we have a bunch of sheets here, and basically all I've done was create some things like they have, but make the charts look a bit nicer. I'm going to need to throw this into a dashboard at some point. The question is, do I... Right, because there wasn't that much insight to be found. But if I make this interactive where they click on this and it updates these other sheets as they go through the dashboard, that might be super useful. Okay, so I'm just going to start throwing a dashboard together. So I always start with a vertical that I float. If you've seen me do dashboards, you'll see that I have done this 1,000 times, where I make these the same size, and I do this so that in my item hierarchy I can have a bit more control over how it looks. And I'm just going to set the inner padding to maybe like 10. And let's do something different this time. Let's set the background to maybe a light gray. And I'm going to set the border to be maybe a slightly darker gray. So now I've got this border around the outside. And I'll put some text in here. So this is going to be FDA product. Okay. So let's make this maybe a black font. Make this nice and big. Maybe 20, bold. Okay. Something like that. And then this one, I'm going to set a background to be white, and I'm going to get rid of my outer padding. Okay, okay, so actually this one, I'm going to make this 0 because I want this to go right to the edges. I'm going to put gray borders around everything else, but on this one, I don't want to do that. But I can put 10 pixels of inner padding on. Hi, Maggie. Hello. You want to say hi? Come on. Come here. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Good girl. Are you ready? You're ready for your dinner, huh? Go tell Mommy. Okay. Sorry about that. Have to say hi to the dog. All right. So now I'm going to edit the height of this and make it maybe, I don't know, let's make it like 75 maybe. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in a blank, and let's edit the height, make it 10, and then my background for this one is going to be black, but I'm going to set the padding to 0, and now that line goes all the way across. So that looks pretty neat so far, I think. So that's going to kind of serve as the outline of my dashboard. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I want the band and the spark lines to be the first thing that people see to give them an overview. So I'm just going to drag that here. And remember, I just had this title in here before, so I'm just going to hide that. And then I'm going to edit the height. And let's make this maybe, let's see what it looks like if I do it as like 350. Okay, I could maybe even make it a bit smaller. Something like that. Okay, so I think that looks okay. Let's format the view, and let's get rid of our grid lines. Get rid of our 0 lines. And then so this only goes through 20. Okay, so I need to change this then. So this is going to be every 5 years. Let's do it that way. Yeah, okay, that's better. And then let's format this again. I'm just going to make it a lighter font, smaller font, sorry, and make it a bit of a lighter color so it kind of fades to the back a bit. And then let's see. So this value, I need this to be a bit higher and separated from the chart a bit. So I'm going to go back to this sheet. And in my, this calculation here, nope, not that one. In my product label, I'm going to maybe multiply, I'm going to move it another little bit higher and go back to my dashboard. Let me just bring this over here. Okay, so now those are separated a bit. I didn't want it to before, it looked like this mark here was labeled 22,000, which I didn't really like the look of that. So actually, let me bring it up even a slightly bit more. Let's make it 0.25. So I'm raising it 25%. Okay, that's better. And now in this sheet, if I turn on, let's see, so what if we label the line ends? Okay, but I like when there's little dots on the ends of the line, so I'm going to actually label the min-max. The field I'm going to label is my year. You can see I've got little dots on there now, but what I want to have on those dots is my number of recalls. So label. Okay, there we go. So something like that. So now I can get rid of my header. And then on this sheet, let's change the layout. Let's put maybe 10 pixels of padding around the whole thing. And then let's do a border of maybe a light gray border. Format it again. No column divider. No row divider. Okay. So what I would do now, so these look like they're, I like it how clean it looks now, but these lines look like they're running into each other. So I'm going to go to my shading and I'm going to turn on my column shading. Okay, so that's good. So let's get rid of that. And now we can see them divided up a bit better. So I think I like that. Let's get rid of, I still have a white line here at the bottom. Okay. All right, and then I want to also do a bit of inner padding to move them inside of the view. Okay, that's not working. Okay, that's not what I want. I think what I'll do is I'll edit my axis and I'm going to fix it to start on 2010 and then end on 2024. And that'll shrink everything in a bit. Okay. Yeah, but I don't like how this, why is this not, if I do inner padding of 10 and then set my outer padding to 0, that's not working. What am I trying to do here? Oh, no, that should be okay. Let's go here. I struggle with this, obviously. Okay, that's a bit better. What if I make this like 20? Okay, I'm just trying to get it. I'm just trying to get them to squeeze in a bit, to pull them off the edges. So let me go to my labels. That's fine. This one on the labels, I'm going to make these maybe 8 point instead. Maybe be able to make them 7. You can make them 7 point by just typing the number in. Let's make it Tableau light. Okay, there we go. So now they're more out of the way. Okay, so I think that looks okay. So again, this is serving as kind of the focus of my dashboard. I guess hide row. Max, I missed when you typed that comment, so I'm not quite sure. What are we making? What about this dashboard? So, Kirill, what I'm trying to do, if you haven't been on Viz Review before, or sorry, Watch Me Viz before, so I'm trying to take kind of the original visualization gives me some ideas on what they're trying to communicate, and then I'm breaking it down into a way that I think it might work a bit better. I don't know if that answers, hopefully that answers your question. So then we have some other sheets here. So we've done that one. We could label that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe label the ends of the bars, but I'm going to make them smaller. Okay, I'm going to check the allow overlap just in case. And now I'm going to format the view to get rid of the grid lines, get rid of the 0 lines, and get rid of my axis rulers. And then I can hide the header. Okay, so now that I have that the way I like it, let's make an entire view. These names are really long. I may end up not using this one, but I'm going to copy the formatting and then paste the formatting here. And then uncheck show header, turn on my labels. Okay, go here, paste the formatting, label, and then hide the header. And then let's paste the formatting, show the labels, and then hide the header. And then I can remove all these field labels. Okay, I've done that. So I'm wondering if this one should be left to right because this one's left to right, just to make them look relatively similar. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now I need to decide what's next most important. Probably, I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to flip this around because I do like my bar charts going the other way. No, I don't think I like it that way. Recalls by severity and then status. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have those two. I'm going to have those two here, kind of like here, but then sort of split in the middle. So there, one is here and one is here, something like that. To do that, then I need to put in a vertical container inside of here. But I need to leave space on the right-hand side. Okay, so I'm going to need to draw this out. So I've got my worst firms, my recalls. Okay, so I've got 4 sheets. Okay, so let me draw this again. So I'm going to have maybe 2 sheets here, something like this. And then I'm going to have another one here, and then one more here, something like that. Now, to do that, then I now need to have a container. So these 2 here on the left will be in a container, and then these 3 will be in a container. So that means I need a container outside of here, which will be a left to right container. Okay. So that's going. So the one I just drew around the outside is going to be a horizontal container. That's going to have these 2 objects in it. It's going to have this object and this object, and then it's going to have a vertical container that goes down this way that's going to have those 2 objects. Anyway, I knew I drew a mess on there, but so let's bring in our horizontal container, and then I'm going to bring in my let's see, status severity, my worst 10 firms, my top recall reasons, and now I'm going to bring in that vertical container. This vertical container is then going to have my severity and my status in it. Okay, so something like that. So let's edit the width of this and make it maybe 300. Let's try that. Okay, and then I want to distribute those evenly. And on this sheet, so let's format the sheet to have a white background. Nope, that didn't do it. Okay, so sorry, I'm in the wrong place here. There we go, layout. Background should be white. Same thing for this one. Same thing for this one. And then same thing for this one. Okay, so now the outside should be 10. I'm just going to do this for all of these while I'm here. And then this one. No, I need to do this the other way around. So 0. This is kind of a real pain to do in Tableau. So I think I first have to do the inside and then do the outside padding. So if I make this 20, no, let's make it 10. Make this one 10. Oh, my mouse is dying on me. sorry, quick battery equipment change here. Okay, that should fix that. All right, so what I do, 10, and then 10, and then 10. And let's make this fit entire view, fit entire view. All right. And then I'm going to select this bottom container, and I'm going to distribute evenly. Okay. So now if let me start with this sheet here because I think it'll be a bit easier to see. If I now set my border to be that and that. Okay, let's do that for all of the sheets. And this is in the video that I mentioned that I put out yesterday, in my newsletter on Friday. I show you how to create a dashboard like this, so with all the padding and all that stuff around it. Okay, so now if I set my outer padding to 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay, so now everything pushes. Oh, I could do this. Here we go. There we go. That looks better. And then let's move this up. I'm just trying to get them off the sides a bit. Do you need something? No. Okay. All right. So I think that's pretty good. I think I'm now going to actually not set these to distribute contents evenly, because I think this one looks okay with the width it is. So we're going to fix width. Okay, good. Okay. So I think that looks all right. Good. So now I've got nice little, gray spacing around everything. We can also show recalls by severity, drill down to top 5 reasons based on severity. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is, well, let me just fix my titles. Actually, let me go up to Format Workbook, and I'm going to set my worksheet titles to be, let's say, Tableau Medium, and let's make them maybe 12 point instead of, there we go. And then in my worksheets, I want everything to be default 8 point instead to make it fit a bit more. But this one looks like it switched back to 8. So let me go. Yep, it did. Okay, I better save at some point too. I'll be quite pissed if Tableau crashes on me. All right, so I think that looks okay. Let me format these because I do want these bigger. So let's maybe make those 11. Maybe make them black. Tableau medium. Okay, something like that. Oh, and it messed up these as well now too. Oh geez, I shouldn't have. I made everything 8. Okay, there we go. So I think that looks okay. It looks like these are just ever so slightly off center, doesn't it? I'm going to change the mark type to be a, okay, that didn't do anything. Let's make it a square, circle, can't bar. Okay, so that didn't do anything. So I need put it back to a text. Okay, that's fine. I just don't like how these look like they're not aligned, but it's good enough. It's fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to rename these. Okay, so yeah, recalls by severity is fine. Maybe if I center my title. I'm just going to call this recall. Instead of recalls by status, I'm going to call it recall status. Recall severity. Okay, and then top recall reasons. Let's see, what could I call this one? How about top 10 reasons for recall? How about worst offenders? How about firms with the most recalls? And I think maybe I should, for consistency, make all the titles centered. Okay, so now what I want to do here is I want to make this a filter. So if I click on Use as Filter and I click on Slight Threat, these change, but because these are now filters here, because my reason for recall is a top filter, I need to apply the action filter first. So if I go to Tableau's order of operations, let me see here. Where is it here? So what I want to happen, so my top 10 filter happens here. When I perform an action filter, that's actually a dimension filter. So if I do not put the dimension filter in context, Tableau is first filtering to the top 10, and then filtering down to that reason. What I want to happen is I want Tableau to first apply the dimension filter, which means put it as a context filter, and then compute the top 10. So what I need to do then is set this action filter to add to context, and now I get 10 reasons again. Same thing, add to context. And I can do all using this data source, so that should make that easier. Oh no, I don't want to do it here. No, I don't want to do that. Selected worksheets. Let me just undo. Okay, I don't want to do it by severity, recall status, add to context. Okay, so that should be there. Okay, so that's good. All right, and then I also want to be able to click on this one. So let's do the same thing. Click on terminated. Maybe I could go to outgoing. You see here, ongoing, it only lists 10 here, or sorry, it only lists 3 out of the top 10. But if I make my action filter, add that to context, I get back to the top 10 reasons. So that's the reason the order of operations is really important. Okay, so this needs to be, these two, I don't think they need to be in context as well, I believe. Okay, so the problem now, so there's a problem with my calculation here because this is no longer working. Okay, I'll figure that out in a minute. Okay, add to context. Now these do not need to be in context because there's no top or bottom filter. It doesn't matter. Recall status. Okay, so that works. And then if I click off of that, that goes back. Okay, so why is this filter not working? What's going on here? So this is how many? 5344, but this one isn't. Okay. Okay, let's just keep going. So I want to use this one as a filter. So lack of sterility. So that's only going to be for the drugs. So maybe I will not do that one. Okay, so that works. Firms with the most recalls. Okay, so, but this one, See, I'm again getting down to just devices. Yeah, so I don't want this one to filter either. So that should have removed that filter from everywhere. Okay. All right. All right, so let me actually save this now. Okay, okay, that's fine. Oh, and then I also need to put at the very bottom. Let's do this, 8. Okay. Okay. Let's set this to be underpadding of 10. Okay, there we go. All right, let me save again. So what I need to figure out now is why is this, when I click that, so that works fine. But when I click on ongoing, I'm no longer getting my totals, which is strange. Okay, so let's go here and try to debug this. Okay, so product label 2017. I wonder if there isn't data for 20. No, there is data for 2017. Right, but I can see in my product label 2017. But I do have a mark here. But I don't have one there. Okay. I wonder if I could just do, let me just try this. Okay, so now I'm getting all of these. So I'm getting a bunch of lines. Okay, so that's fine. And now if I do a line and I label only the center, let's see. So that's labeling the center. Yeah, so that's giving me but now the problem is I can't label just the middle of these. Shoot. Okay, let's see. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to make this discrete. Aha, that worked. Okay, so let's get rid of that. And now I can format this. Let's make it, when I have it as 20, black, Tableau medium, something like that. Okay, so what I did was I'm only going to ever get one value back for each of the types. So I put my total field as a discrete field after the product. So I'm getting basically 2 rows here. I don't know if I explain. Okay, let me just go back and show you what I did again. So let me go back here. Probably easier to see if I go back to where I had a single, where it was messed up. Okay, there we go. So we have just a single value here everywhere. So I'm going to take my label, let's say my total, so on this product label shelf, you see I have total recalls here. I've got my total recalls. That's just serving as my label. So if I'm going to start by moving that to the columns, and I get some kind of weird view, but I'm not really worried about that yet. But now if I make this field discrete, it's going to make it a header instead of an axis. Okay, so now I can get rid of my secondary axis, and you see my values are now across here at the top. So I can format this and make them nice and big. And Tableau medium and black. I think I had them even bigger than that, maybe 22, something like that. So hopefully that made sense. It may not have, but and then let's increase the band size. Nope, I don't want to do that. Nope, wrong way around. There we go. So hopefully, okay. All right, so I think that worked. Yeah. So now if I click on that and terminated, I can see them together. That worked. Okay, great. So that worked perfectly. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is, yeah, some of these. Okay, so now I need to just clean up my tooltips. So let me just go one at a time. And so my total recalls does not need to be in my tooltip. My fiscal year recalls. Okay, so I'm going to put the product type and then the year. Okay, so let's make these black and let's make this, that's fine. And let's make this maybe 12. Undo, let's make this one 12. Let's make it 14. Okay, so now when I look over that, oh, that looks terrible. So this should be 14 as well, just to make it look better. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Then let's go over here. So this one we actually don't, well, we probably should leave the, because some of these are really long. So yeah, so I need to leave that on there, but I'm going to get rid of the title there. And now we can see, like this one has a really long name to it, penicillin cross-contamination. Well, that's not particularly good, is it? Okay, so this one I can just get rid of that and maybe make this 14 like I did the other ones. And then I need to do that here as well. I forgot to do that. Okay, recall severity, so I don't even need my tooltips here. Recall status, I don't need my tooltips there. Okay. So let me go ahead and save again. And I think I'm going to call it quits there. Does anybody have any questions? I'll give you a second to maybe ask some questions on here. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to play around with the titles a bit. So I wanted to leave that there. What did I call that? Okay, oh, and just to refresh other people, if you go to andykribel.com, you can sign up to my newsletter. I send that out every Friday morning, and I'm going to provide lots of tips and tricks and some links to things that you can buy for really cheap. and stuff. So if I look at my latest newsletter, you'll see that I've included this 5-step framework that's only £5, so you can buy that on Gumtree. That helps you kind of know how to approach data. Early preview to new videos that I've created, kind of a recap of some content that I've produced with Makeover Monday or Watch Me Viz or something like that, and then also a link to the Discord community. So so there's that, and you can also subscribe there as well. One question, what can we possibly highlight in this viz using color? So that is a good question. So Prasad, I'm intentionally not using color because so I'm intentionally not using color because I don't want it to be, I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. So let's say that, like the devices, for example, I want to put my product type onto color, right? So I get something like that. But now when I look at the dashboard, it's like super duper colorful. And some people might like that, but I personally don't. I don't think the color is necessary there. So that's why I would not use color. I don't think there's anywhere in here where you need color to emphasize something. So, I could do it on the recall status, for example. And that gives me color. But does that really add anything to the dashboard? Because I'm not using that color anywhere else. So I always remove the color and only add it if I think it adds something to the visualizations. I hope that answers your question. Professor Analytics just wanted to ask, do you have any resource for bivariate maps out of today's context question? I guess for other people, let me just bring up the definition of a bivariate map. So this is I think you mean two or more variables on a single map by combining different. Okay, so what you could do on a bivariate map. So I think what might be easier, so let me duplicate this and get rid of city. I'm just going to do it by state for now. So a bivariate map would be something that you're using both color and, in this case we're using size, but we could also use color. So for example, this right now it's sized by the number of recalls, but maybe we want to then, on each state, for some reason, we want to, let's say, where's the recalling firm name? Let's say we want to count the number of firms, the count distinctive firms within each state. So we can see there's probably going to be a relationship between the two, but you see California, there were 8,282 recalls across 1,241 companies. So that would be an example of a bivariate map. Don't know if that answers your question there, Professor Analytics. Maybe it does. Hope it does. I really like the look of this map too. It's a shame that we can't really find a way to incorporate it very well in here. It would be way too smushed. Okay, so I think that is all of your questions. So let me, okay, so let me hide this one. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for joining today. Again, sign up for the newsletter, get lots of information on there. You'll get access to tips before they go live to everybody else. And thank you very much for joining. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment. I will get this published up to Tableau Public. And I do owe a link in the previous week's description to the video, to the tile map file. So I will get that added as well. And otherwise, everybody have a great week, and I will see you next week. Thanks for everything. Bye.